Good morning, ultimate hustlers and digital empire builders. It is that time for the Cortez Hustle Show. And we got another wonderful show lined up for you today. We continue to celebrate Women's History Month with another dynamic female entrepreneur changing the world. We're talking personal branding, self-publishing, and more with Bianca Scott from BusyB Writing. So this is going to be one of those shows that if you are not doing what you need to do. If enough people don't know about who you are, your business and or your brand, then you, my friend, have got to pay full attention to what we got going on today. Bianca is amazing at coaching entrepreneurs to building better brands, using content marketing strategies and all of the like. So we're going to have a real dope conversation with her today. So do me a huge favor, man. Comment in the chat where you're from, drop the name of your business and or your brand, and let's kick it this morning. Yo, what's up, ultimate hustlers, and welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show, the business podcast for the entrepreneur of the 21st century. And I'm your host, Cortez Hustle. Our goal is to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how the world's greatest hustlers build amazing brands, scale their businesses to incredible heights, sell more, make more, and create mass movements that impact the world. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned vet or you're sitting on the sidelines with aspirations to one day unleash your inner hustle. This show will provide the insights into how pure grit, determination, and hard work has morphed into some of the most iconic brands and personalities and how they are moving the culture forward. You'll get a mix of solo shows featuring yours truly, as well as interviews and content from other hustlers that I either know personally or I've learned from or whose grind I've come to know and respect. And you'll also get exclusive recordings from our membership called Monetize My Life Academy, which you can check out at monetizemylifeacademy.com. That's a program where we go live every month with some of the best hustlers on the planet, sharing best practices on how we all can explode our brands with advanced branding and marketing tactics, business development strategies, and financial game planning necessary to build the empires we all desire. Again, that's at monetizemylifeacademy.com. If you like today's episode, chances are the hustlers you're connected to will like it as well. Share it with those in your network. And when you do, use hashtag Cortez Hustle so I can see you and hopefully give you a shout out and share you in my stories. So check out today's episode and make sure you subscribe to the feed on your favorite podcasting networks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show. I am, of course, your host, Cortez Hustle, everybody's favorite fatherpreneur, coming to you live and direct from the Black Bear Success Mastermind Studios right here in St. Louis, Missouri. If you're not familiar with the Black Bear Success Mastermind, there's a private group where we help Black entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, with tips, strategies, tools, resources to help them grow and expand their businesses. So either you want to start a business, you already have a business, you're looking to grow and scale, or you want to connect with and support Black entrepreneurs, then text keyword mastermind to 314-866-4053. Again, text keyword mastermind 314-866-4053. And we'd love to send you that private invitation to jump in the actual mastermind group. Today, we continue to celebrate Women's History Month with another dynamic female entrepreneur in the building. She's going to be talking about self-publishing, personal branding, content marketing, all of those good things, ladies and gentlemen. So keep it locked right here. Make sure you comment where you're from. Drop the name of your business and all your brands. Smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody on your timeline needs to hear from Bianca Scott today. A couple quick announcements before we get the ball rolling. Tribal lead generation automation. It goes down tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are struggling to generate leads in your business, come hang out with your boy. We're going to have an informal conversation about how to use Facebook as an entrepreneur to turn your followers into leads and ultimately into loyal tribe members. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not want to miss this. I'm telling you, not only will we teach you how to use Facebook to turn your followers into leads, but we also teach you how to automate the process, and we built the process in a way that all of your efforts compound. Because if you're like me, nobody has 4, 5, 6 hours a day to be plugging into Facebook to try to pluck out leads. But if your activity compounds every day, where you put a piece of content up today and it works for you today, but it works for you tomorrow too. But you also put a piece of content up tomorrow and that content works for you that day, but yesterday's content is still working for you today too. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna put the link in the show notes in the comments, bit.ly/TOM tribal. Click that link, get yourself registered, show up tomorrow, and I promise you will not be disappointed. Also, one final announcement before we bring on Bianca. The Black Biz Success Show with yours truly as the host is now available on Roku. Comment keyword Roku if you have a Roku player in your house. Because listen, if you download the Unheard TV channel, I want to send you a free vacation just for downloading the channel on your Roku player. But of course, I would like for you to go watch the Black Biz Success Show on Roku, featuring yours truly. It's an amazing platform where we talk about some of the challenges that Black entrepreneurs are having in business. And of course, we never talk about challenges without talking about solutions. So that's what the Black Biz Success Show is all about. It's streaming live right now. Episode 1 is on Roku. So go check your boy out, man. Now, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know I'm all about helping our brothers and sisters in the entrepreneurial space grow and develop their businesses, right? And it's not just me, it's just not just my methods. I like to bring people on who are experts at what they do. And one of the things that you got to get good at, I don't care what business you're in, small business, medium enterprise, whatever, you got to understand content marketing. You got to understand how to put yourself out there. You got to understand personal branding. And you might want to consider publishing a book to make yourself an authority in your space. And Bianca Scott can teach you with all of that. So I'm going to introduce them to some of you guys and present to others, Madam Bianca Scott. Good morning, sis. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. How are you?
I am extremely well, excited about this conversation. Digital marketing is my wheelhouse, personal branding, content marketing. I love having conversations with other marketers such as yourself. So before we get into who you are and what got you started in this space and how well you do what it is you do, we start every episode of the Cortez Hustle Show with a quote of the day. What I'm going to do is share a quote that, hit me this morning as I was doing some of my morning routine. And if you have a favorite quote, you can share yours or you can comment on the quote that I have for you today. But today's quote is from Jim Rohn. He said, "Humans are the only life form that will do less than they possibly can, i.e., a tree doesn't know how to grow halfway." When you think about that, we make conscious decisions every day as to how much of ourselves we want to actually put into the world. And some of that is because of fear and conditioning and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, give it all you got, people. Push to the highest level of the potential that you have within. Grow to that being as best you can. So, Bianca, do you have a favorite quote that you want to share, or do you want to comment on that one?
I'm going to comment on that one actually. And I like that quote because it speaks to a person's ability to create their own destiny, right?
Mm,
Meaning
yeah.
you can grow as much as you choose to grow. You just
Hmm.
have to put in that effort, you have to put in that time.
Yeah.
So I like that quote because it literally puts it to where everyone has the potential. Everyone has that tabula rasa, that
Mhm.
blank slate,
That's right.
right? So therefore, it's up to you and what you put into your own life to make it the way that you want it to. There are no caps. There are no ceilings.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Think about a tree saying, I'm tall enough and I'm chilling right here. Like humans are the only ones that do that. It's like, there's
Mm-hmm.
more deep inside of me, but I'm comfortable right here and I'm just gonna just chill out and hang out right here, not realizing how we're all interconnected. And the highest version of you might be what I need to tap into and start growing into the highest version of me. But if you never get
Absolutely.
there, you're not knowing it, but you're affecting my growth too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people got to understand. We're all connected in this thing, and the best version of you is what this world needs, and that's why God created you and put you on the planet on this during this time
Mm-hmm.
and space, so that your life can be an impact to other people. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the quote of the day right here on the Cortez Hustle Show. Again, brought to you by Tribal Lead Generation Automation. I know you're struggling with generating leads in your business, right? Because none of us have as many leads as we need or as many leads as we could have. Otherwise, we wouldn't be on these social platforms posting every day because we'd be too busy serving clients. So click the link in the show notes in the bio. Sign up for tomorrow's lead generation automation. I'm going to show you how to use Facebook to generate leads and build a tribe at the same time. If you're not building a tribe, man, you're missing out. You need loyal subscribers, followers, fans that you can always serve, practice, beta test new products and services with. That's incredibly important for your journey as an entrepreneur. And I'm going to show you how to do that with our system and the automation that goes along with that tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. So, Bianca, I ask everybody that comes to the Cortez Hustle Show the same question, and you ain't special. You get the same. You get the question too, and that question is this: who the heck are you?
Who am I? I am, let's see, we got the business side and we got the personal side, right? The
Yeah.
personal side of me, I'm a serial knowledge gatherer. I'm a
Mm,
traveler.
mm.
I love to learn new things. I love to read. I have a dog. That's me in a nutshell.
Oh
I'm
wow.
an animal lover, a traveler, a
Mm.
writer, and just really an adventurer, but lowercase a, lowercase a.
All right, your mic is rubbing up against your shirt, real.
Oh, I'm so
So if
sorry.
you can, but
Okay.
so traveler, animal lover. I love that you said you are a serial gatherer of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Where did that begin? Let's go back childhood. Bring us up to young Bianca, elementary, then middle school, then high school. What was that upbringing like for you? As you were you always that not gatherer of knowledge back then? Where
Hmm.
did that start?
Sure. So, as a child, I was always curious, always talkative. Still am talkative.
Hmm.
But definitely growing up, I was always that person. I wanted to know why. I wanted to know more. I wanted to understand how this worked and that worked. And sometimes it got me in trouble,
Hmm.
just because people were trying to learn one thing. But I'm like, no, let's talk more about this before we move on. Asking
Yeah.
those questions that no one else would ask, right?
Hmm.
And it's just I've always had just this passion for knowing more so that I can either apply it to my life or tell it to someone else.
Hmm.
For a while,
Hmm.
I even thought I wanted to be a teacher just because I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd at heart. I love to learn new things. So that just continued on into middle school whenever we actually had the opportunity to try new things. That's whenever I'm showing my age a little bit. Whenever the internet was more, well, I won't say just coming up, but enough to
Hmm.
where people were actually able to tap into the HTML. So
Right.
learn how to do that in middle school, and
Hmm.
then just going on even into high school. Anytime there was something new, oh, I'll never forget. I got a great story. So in high school, they gave us the ability to either take biology or forensic science.
Hmm.
So do you know how cool it is to take forensic science in high
Right.
school?
Right.
Because for our final, we actually had to create a crime scene for one group, and then as a group, we had to solve another crime scene. So
Mm.
again, that was just more just soaking up the knowledge, soaking up all these different things because I'm one
Yeah.
of those people. I feel like you can do anything, this sounds cliche. You really can do whatever you want if
Hmm.
you're willing to learn about it.
Yeah.
So just growing up, I just dabbled into this, dabbled into that, and just grabbed as much as I could, which
Mhm.
became a problem in college because now it's
Yeah.
like, so what do I want to do? You
Right.
know?
Right. Yeah. I love that. And I think more parents should be pushing that model on their children, right? The book I read tells me that you are to train up a child in the way that they should go. A lot of people
Right.
think that means train them up in accordance to the way the Bible and all that, but really it means train up a child in the according to how they are bent, meaning their gifts, their talents, their propensities. Understand that as a parent and kind of put them in situations that if that's not clear, that will bring that out of them. And I love that you have parents that say, hey, okay, this week is forensic science, next week it is judo, the week after that, it is 4-H club, whatever you want to do, Bianca,
Mm-hmm.
try it all out. And that even speaks to us as entrepreneurs. Sometimes there's a reason that we start multiple businesses because we haven't figured out the one yet. So I love that you had that experience. But to your point, now that you got a little bit of insight on all of these different things, you got to decide on which one you're going to go a mile deep in. So how did you kind of make that decision as a young lady getting into college, and how did you narrow it down?
Sure. So growing up, always loved writing. I was that person. I'm ashamed. Look, hope my teachers aren't listening. I'm ashamed to say I was that person. I would do other people's work so that they could go play because I just enjoyed writing so
Wow.
much. I
Wow.
loved it. So that grew, continued to grow. It was something that always came naturally. Didn't really have to think about it. I was just like, ooh, do it. And then in
Mhm.
college, it was just easy. It was something that
Oh,
I
grab your
could
mic
I
for me.
could sharpen that. Oh, I'm coming to loose. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's rubbing against your shirt. So,
How
yeah,
about now?
there you go.
Okay, great. So in college, it was just something that was always just it was just easy. It was
Hmm.
easy. It was the one thing I didn't have to worry about was I was one thing I could do, it was right. And for a while, because of all the different things that I was gathering growing up, I was like, I want to be a Supreme Court judge. Skip the
Hmm.
lawyer part, skip a regular judge. I want to be a Supreme Court judge. So I went to college off the mindset that I'm going to try to do law, right?
Hmm.
And then I got into communication studies. And then
Got
I actually interned for a law firm.
you. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
they were so miserable. They were so miserable. And they kept, like, everyone I met, and this was black and white, woman, man, they said, get out before you even get in. They said, don't do it. It's not worth the headache. It's not worth the debt. Get
Hmm.
into something else that would actually be more meaningful. So
Got
then at this point, I did that internship my sophomore year, the end of my sophomore year of college. So it was
you.
in between sophomore and junior. So now
Hmm.
I'm halfway through my college experience. What am I going to do? Still
Right.
did not have a clue, if we're being all the way honest. Didn't have a clue.
Hmm.
But I knew I loved communication studies. I was a political science major. I changed to communication studies.
Got
So I knew I loved everything about the discipline. I loved the rhetoric. I loved the art of persuasion. I
you.
loved
Hmm.
just the writing, the research. It was up my alley. It was up my
Good.
alley. So then from there, I was like, didn't know what I wanted to do whenever I graduated, mind you.
Hmm.
So
Right.
I was like, let me go get a master's. Maybe I could figure it out in 2 more years.
Need a little bit more time to figure this out.
And that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I did. God showed out like always, and I got a free ride. So I was like, this gives me
Nice.
some more time to figure it out.
Hmm.
And it was during that time that my professor, I'll never forget, he said, do you have any idea how good of a writer you are? Now, because it's one thing to feel like it's easy and you're good at it, but for someone, especially of his caliber and all
Hmm.
the different
Hmm.
publications that he has put out there to say, you're an amazing writer. Where did you learn that? And I'm just,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Got
So it was through that I was like, maybe writing could be something I could do in some capacity, whatever role
you.
that life takes me, it's gonna have
Right.
to do something with writing,
Gotcha.
right?
Gotcha.
hmm So
I love
then
it.
from there, um, graduated about a month later, not even a month. I actually went on vacation for a week because I was tired after doing that thesis. And then I came back and I had a voicemail from a place I had applied to saying, hey, we have this job opening in Atlanta. I was living in Mobile, Alabama at the time. We have this
Hmm.
job opening in Atlanta, or yeah, in Atlanta to be a marketing specialist. I was
Gotcha.
like, okay, I'd love to talk to you all. And a
Hmm.
month after that, I was moving to Atlanta. as a marketing specialist.
Wow. Love it.
Just like
Love it.
that.
Love it.
Hmm.
Well, as you guys see, there's a solid foundation that we're laying right here as to why you should be listening to Bianca Scott when it comes to your business, your brand. We're going to get more into that, but we got to jump into 1 minute motivation, man. 1 minute motivation, Bianca, is where we share a short motivational clip. I'm huge on trying to help people understand that personal growth and self development is a 24-hour, 7 day a week thing. Most people
Hmm.
think, oh, if I'm reading a book like this, which is our book of the month, From the Trash Man to the Cash Man by Myron Golden, right? If I'm reading a book like this, Think and Grow Rich, right? One of the original classics for entrepreneurs, then I'm doing personal growth and self development. Yeah, that's true. But everything you consume is personal growth and self development. The
Absolutely.
question is it developing you into the right person, the person that you want to be, right? So
Hmm.
I do a little positive personal growth and self development on every show. So I'm going to play a 60 to 90-second clip. I'm going to ask you to give us a takeaway or two from what you hear. The audience usually comments a takeaway or two from what they hear. So let's jump into, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Before we do that, let me get the real clip for today because that is still yesterday's clip. So we're going to get into 1 minute motivation, y'all, in a second. It's going to take about 30 seconds for this thing to load. But I didn't want to give you guys what we did yesterday. So let me delete that and let's get ready for the real 1 minute motivation today. And then if you guys are in position to type yourselves, then please type what you hear, a comment. I try to read as many of them as I can this morning. But while this is loading up, we got some Will Smith queued up, and he does some amazing stuff. If you're not following Will Smith and his social, right, the movies are one thing, but when you get the behind the scenes of the man, he drops some heavy stuff. So this is 1 minute motivation right here on the Cortez Social Show.
I was just having a debate with a friend of mine, and we got stuck on the difference between fault and responsibility. She kept talking about how something was somebody's fault, it's somebody's fault. And I was like, it don't matter whose fault it is that something is broken if it's your responsibility to fix it. For example, it's not somebody's fault if their father was an abusive alcoholic. But it's for damn sure their responsibility to figure out how they're going to deal with those traumas and try to make a life out of it. It's not your fault if your partner cheated and ruined your marriage, but it is for damn sure your responsibility to figure out how to take that pain and how to overcome that and build a happy life for yourself. Fault and responsibility do not go together. It sucks, but they don't. When something is somebody's fault, we want them to suffer. We want them punished. We want them to pay. We want it to be their responsibility to fix it. But that's not how it works, especially when it's your heart. Your heart, your life, your happiness is your responsibility and your responsibility alone. As long as we're pointing the finger and stuck in whose fault something is, we're jammed and trapped into victim mode. When you're in victim mode, you are stuck in suffering. The road to power is in taking responsibility. Your heart, your life, your happiness is your responsibility and your responsibility alone.
Cool. I don't know about y'all, man, but that is one of my all-time favorite YouTube clips, right? Anytime I hear that, I stop what I'm doing and I listen because it is so real. We get stuck in finger pointing mode and all of that kind of stuff. But let me temper my excitement. See, the other reason I love doing this, Bianca, is because we all just listen to the same clip. But based on where we are in life, we all heard something very different. So what did you hear, sis?
I heard him say that at the end of the day, you're responsible for your own emotions and what you do as a result of what other people do to you.
Mm,
That's what I heard. And
yeah.
I agree 1,000% because we can't control everybody else.
Hmm.
We can't control if this person do what they say they're going to do or that
Hmm.
person is going to follow through on their word. We can't control that. All
Yeah.
we can control is what we do as a result of the
Hmm.
things that happen. And
Yeah.
once we remember that and once we see that, we are able to be so much more powerful and in control of the outcome of different situations.
Yeah, man. He said it plainly, man. It sucks that they don't go together, right? Fault and
Mm-hmm.
responsibility. It's take being fully responsible for your life. It really sucks. I believe that's what the Apostle Paul was saying when he said we are all gods under the Most High God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that I am 100% responsible for the world that I am creating. And if my world is upside down, I have nobody to blame but myself. So I have to fix it. And sometimes we will point the finger. We won't take that responsibility and
Always.
say, that person did this to me, but you chose to allow that person in your life, right? We don't
Exactly.
want to go there, right? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
too easy to blame other people. And we certainly want other people to hurt based on what pain they cause us. And I'm of the opinion that it ain't nobody's responsibility to fix it. I could waste time blaming. I could waste time waiting on that person to come and apologize, waste
Mm-hmm.
time waiting for that person to come and try to fix it. But I can just get on with fixing it and move on with my life,
Move
man.
on with your
And
life.
that's what I try to do to the best of my ability. Let's see. Mark says poverty is a way of life, but it is up to us to choose to stay there. All of our choices have brought us to the point where we are today. So real. Melson says, I love this show. Thank you so much, brother. My fellow Black Mastermind group member there. But yeah, I really believe that when we understand the power that we have in taking responsibility, right? Building our own emotional intelligence and leveraging everything that and understanding that in life is happening for us and not to us. And I think we miss that. Like, no, that situation, there's two sides of it. There's the
Mm-hmm.
side that may be perceived as negative, the side that hurt, but then there's also the other side that says you can take that negative situation, you can take that pain, that hurt, and you could leverage it to build a better you. And that's what I try to do. And I get the sense that you're the same way as well, Bianca. So, ladies and
Absolutely.
gentlemen, that is 1 minute motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, brought to you by, I'm going to keep drilling it into your head, Tribal Lead Generation Automation. Tomorrow it's going down 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Click on the link in the comments, in the show notes, in the description, and get yourself registered and come have a conversation with me tomorrow about lead generation, right? We're talking about Facebook specifically. If you want to generate leads somewhere else, that ain't my jam, right? Maybe Bianca can give you some tips on generating leads somewhere else. Generating leads on Facebook is my jam. Building Facebook groups and building your tribe is my jam. Automating the whole process, right, is my jam. That's why I have y'all text keywords to certain numbers because that triggers my automation, right? So make sure you click on the link, get registered for tomorrow, 9 a.m. And we just have a casual conversation about the Black Bear Success app, which is the software that I use to run my whole shebang. I'm going to show you how you can do the same thing. And the beautiful thing about it is your efforts all compound when you do it a certain way. So that is 1 minute motivation. So we're listening to and learning from Bianca Scott, right? Founder of BusyBWriting.com. And she's taken us through her journey where she fell in love with writing, fell in love with the accumulation of knowledge almost to a fault, right? Because you learn a little bit about everything, but then it becomes choice time. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
Dr. George Fraser says you should be a mile wide and 2 inches deep on a lot of things, but then you should be 2 inches wide and a mile deep on at least one thing, right? So you chose writing as okay, this is where I'm at. So I'm a mile, 10 miles deep, and you want to know writing and how to write and be good at writing. That's my jam. But I also love knowledge. So I'm a mile wide and 2 inches deep on a lot of stuff. I can talk a lot of stuff about a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So out of college, moved to Atlanta, got to the job as a marketing person. What was your experience like in corporate America? I got a theory, right? That there is a particular reason that Black women are the fastest growing segment of entrepreneurs in the world. And I believe it has something to do with how corporate treats our sisters. What was your experience in corporate?
My experience, I will say, was neutral. And
Hmm.
it was neutral because on the positive, I'll start with the positive.
Hmm.
On the positive, I was able to meet a lot of people for sure. I worked for architects and they were well known in the city.
Hmm.
So on the positive, got to meet a lot of people. I also was given access to different software that I had never even heard of before. And it's
Okay.
because of that access that allowed me to enter into the self-publishing space.
Hmm.
So there is
Gotcha.
no question that it was helpful for me because it
Hmm.
exposed me to different things. Because one of my friends says, "You lived in a rock called Alabama your whole life." Yes, that is absolutely true. And being living in Atlanta was definitely, won't say a slap in the face because it was a good slap. It was a good slap because it opened my eyes to the possibilities that I don't have to necessarily work corporate to be successful. That's not
Hmm.
something that you see a lot, particularly in that part of Alabama.
Hmm.
As far as branching out on your own and doing X, Y, and Z, that's just not something that we typically do.
Yeah.
You know, you want to build your way up to a high position.
Hmm.
So definitely that was the positive. On
Gotcha.
the negative, I believe it was more of a generational struggle, just with the
Hmm.
expectations that I had as a millennial versus what maybe someone in the baby boomer class had expectations of. Then it can be
Hmm.
just the smallest things, right?
Yeah.
So just not to get too deep into it, but it could just be just a communication error, or
Hmm.
maybe this was not quite what they were thinking it should be. So um, ultimately, it was because of that experience that made me realize that I don't like working for other people.
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that that's definitely the takeaway. And it's not, any shots to them. It's
Hmm.
just my mindset, my ambition. I know what I enjoyed and I know what I like to
Hmm.
do. But when you work for corporate, you're kind of in a silo on what you're allowed to do,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they like you have a role to fill. So you
Hmm.
can't really branch out and do other things because you have to fulfill the duties of this particular role.
Right.
And then someone like
Yeah.
me is like, again, serial knowledge gatherer. But what if I want to learn more about this thing because I really like doing
Hmm.
this?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
no, you can't do that because this is your role.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. And that's why I love companies like the Googles and the Apples of the world. From what I hear about the culture that they create in those environments in the workspaces, because I think they got it right in understanding the different cultures that people are coming from into the workspace. There's a different culture around gender. There's a different culture around race and ethnicity. There's a different culture around age, like you mentioned, the millennial and the baby boomers, and even me, Generation X. Like we all see the world differently, and you have to create spaces in corporate where everybody feels comfortable that I can be who I am in this space, and what I bring to the table is valuable. And that's not always the case in, in a lot of
exactly.
companies,
Yeah.
and it makes it difficult. Um, but Derek Grace too talks about getting into the corporations as a means to, okay, feed your family, but then you infiltrate and you educate and then you vacate, right? And that sounds like what you
Hmm.
did. You
Yes.
infiltrated corporate. You got yourself educated on some softwares and some things, and you quickly realize this ain't gonna be a 40-year thing for me. And then you
Hmm.
vacated. So, what was it like making that transition into entrepreneurship and walking away from corporate?
Sure. So first, I entered into corporate America in 2015.
Hmm.
I started entrepreneurship in 2016, technically. I'm going to tell you how. I was speaking to somebody just about how much I enjoy writing, and I did it all the time whenever I was in college. And
Hmm.
then he mentioned to me that the platform called Upwork. Never
Hmm.
heard of it before.
Yeah.
And I said, what is that? He's like, well, if you like writing so much, there are people that pay for that. I'm like, people pay you to write? And sure enough, got on Upwork, and that's literally how it all started. So from there, just doing little things here and there, just editing this paper, maybe writing this article, did that for maybe 2 years. And just maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks, little small stuff, just to feed that passion that I had, still working my full-time job. And then I started to see the income potential. I'm like, hold on. Because this person, at first, I was only making, 25, $30. This person just paid 500. So let me look at this a little bit deeper. So now we're fast forwarding to 2018. I'm like, let me try to get a little bit more serious, more presentable, because it's getting to the point at Upwork where it's harder to find people who are willing to pay you what you're worth. Because there's some people are looking for the lowest bidder. Some people are looking for the best person that can do the job.
Right.
So let me try to move away from that platform a little bit, just a little bit, because I'm still working full time, right? And then in 2019, I took the leap because I actually left that particular position, went to another one, wasn't happy. So we parted ways. And I said, okay, Bianca, pause. You've been building on this business since 2016. This is something you love to do. You know there's an income potential because you've been making a little bit of money here and there since you've been doing it. Before you run back to corporate, because the good thing is my education is not going anywhere. My experience is not going anywhere. So I feel if I fail, I can always go back to it if need be.
Yes.
But let me at least try. And when
listen, we got to put a pin right here, because there's a few things that we got to draw out. We live in the age, the internet is 25, 27 years old, roughly, in its commercial state in which we all know to use it, right? Now, we know it's older than that. Military has been using it for decades longer than that. But in the iteration that we know it as a general public, it's about 25, 26 years old, right? Our parents and grandparents, if they wanted a side hustle while they were working a full-time job, what would they have had to do? Wait until their shift ended and they could only work a side hustle from 5 to 9 or 9 to 12 midnight, right? Because they didn't have the ability that we have. And I think so many of us miss that you can run a business and have a job at the same time, and start slowly making that transition, which it sounds like you did, start developing that entrepreneurial mindset, which is the most difficult part of becoming an entrepreneur. And for the last 6 years, the reason this page, if you guys are watching me on Facebook, most of you are on my financial health mentor page. The reason that page exists is because I learned from some very wealthy people that the best place to be in this economy is on a full-time job and have a legitimate part-time business where it is structured, it is filed with the Secretary of State and all that, because you get a regular and consistent paycheck, but you get all of the tax write-offs of a entrepreneur. And when you marry those two things together, it's game on, right? So kudos to you for jumping out there on Upwork and doing your thing while you had the job. But now it's full time. Right?
Full time, all in, 10 toes down.
So talk about the first 6 months of that, because I remember when I walked away from my job 2016, I was like, man, if I don't kill something, we don't eat today. So talk about the first 6 months of the transition that you had to make, because the other thing that being full-time meant, I had to become a better manager of my time. Like I got 8 hours. So what was that experience like for you?
Definitely scary. The dog I mentioned, just got him, so now I had another mouth to feed besides my own.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay. I've been following a woman. She's the 6-figure chick, and just been eating up what she was dishing out. She's like, okay, if you get this and this and this. Oh, another thing. I'm a person, I will invest in myself. When it comes to learning how to do something, I will invest in myself. I will spare no dollar. Good. So she had a series of different trainings on how to start if you're just getting started. I immersed myself in those. And it was difficult because it's like, if I don't work, I don't eat. So I have to balance learning more and still attracting new people beyond Upwork. Because again, Upwork wasn't paying as much. So I had to get creative, right?
Gotcha.
Because, and at first you're like, okay, social media. Social media is a little bit harder to tap into. And, there's a lot of people that are on social media that may not necessarily be looking to buy right away. And I needed somebody that was willing to buy right away.
Yeah.
So I got into Thumbtack. Best
Mm.
thing ever. Best
Nice.
thing ever. Because there was a whole market for writers and editors on Thumbtack. You had to spend a little bit to play, but the return was well worth it. For sure.
Yeah.
So for me, I had to figure out, okay, how much money do I need to set aside to make sure that I'm always active on Thumbtack? Because again, you have to pay to play. Then how am I going to manage my time to make sure I get everything done? Because once they started coming in, they were coming. They were coming.
Yeah.
And then I had to say, okay, how do I adjust pricing? Because now I'm doing it full time. How I can't just, accept any old thing. I got bills,
Right.
So how can I
So when
price
you're
it
working
to
a
where I'm
full-time
competitive?
job, I can take a 30-minute, $30 job on Upwork and I can bang this out in 30 minutes. That's $1 a minute. So I'm winning. But when you have the full expectation of paying for all of your life from this gig, it's different.
It does. It hit different because now you have to be more competitive in your pricing. And then there's even more pressure to do well because again, if you don't work, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
So the pressure was definitely on for those first 6 months. Got to hurry up and get as many clients as possible, learn as much as I can so that I can be more valuable, make sure that I remain valuable to them, and just being able to have the discipline. Because when you work for yourself, you are your own boss. And having that discipline to say, no, I'm not going to scroll on YouTube for 2-3 hours. I'm not going to binge watch Law and Order, even though it come on Thursday. You have to
That's
really
huge.
be disciplined.
That is huge. The discipline, and I tell people, like what made me better as an entrepreneur is because I was a great employee. Like my wife would tell you, I worked for a company for 12 years and probably called off 3 times in 12 years. I took that seriously, like not the job, but the duty, right? My duty as a man is provider and protector. The job allowed me to fulfill my duty. So I took that seriously. I didn't call off sick. We didn't call off for vacations and to play around and all that kind of stuff. So I was a great employee. So that helped me make the decision to go full time because I know if I could commit there and I have an unlimited income potential, I can commit myself here. So I want to talk about you branding yourself because it's going to help with our audience and the power of being a published author as an entrepreneur and how that sets you up for success and almost no other way possible. And the only thing that I can think of to give you more authority is to get on TV, right? But and most of us can't get on that. But if we had a book, we got a greater chance of getting on TV. So talk about personal branding and the power of authorship for entrepreneurs to position themselves in their industry.
Sure. So with personal branding, you have to know who you're talking to. That is the first thing, hands down. Nothing else matters until you know who are you talking to. You don't want to talk to everybody because everybody ain't going to buy from you. And there's only a particular person that you really want to talk to. So prime example, I am my ideal client when it comes to certain things. So I always act like I'm trying to attract somebody like myself, someone that has a lot to say, that has the potential to do things, might not know how to do it, but they're willing to invest a little bit to learn how to do it, right? So then I have that hey girl, hey attitude. So knowing that about myself, knowing I love that, that's who I'm going to be talking to 95% of the time. So whenever you're trying to brand yourself, you need to know who you're talking to because you're not supposed to be talking to everybody. Because if you're talking to everybody, you're not talking to anybody. That's just the bottom line. So that's definitely the first thing. Another thing is you want to plan what you're going to talk about. Sometimes it's okay to do things on the fly. That's what Q&A sessions are for because they help to build what you're going to be talking about. But you also want to have some type of plan for, at minimum, these are the areas that I'm going to focus on at minimum. So with branding, with personal branding, same thing. For me, I knew I wanted to focus on ghostwriting. I wanted to focus on publishing, and I wanted to focus on resumes at the time. So
Mhm.
that's all I talked about. It didn't have any. If it didn't have anything to do with ghostwriting, editing, or resumes, you wasn't going to see it anywhere.
Gotcha.
Another thing is that brand recognition. So that goes back to your logo. That goes back to even your colors, even your
Mhm.
font types that you use on anything that you put out there. You want for whenever your content gets in front of somebody, you want them to be able to be like, "Yup, that's Bianca."
Mhm. Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so because that again reinforces the message that you're saying and reinforce and keeps you front of mind because you want to
Mhm.
stay front of mind in front of your target. So when it comes to that personal branding or just branding in general, those are the things that you really have to, if nothing else,
Yeah.
you want to make sure
So.
that you got your target. You
Mhm.
want to make sure that you have a plan in place on what you're going to talk about. And
Mhm.
you want to make sure that your branding, your tone is consistent,
Yeah.
whether that
Yeah.
be your colors, the types of photos that you use, the font that you use. Be
Mhm.
consistent. Be consistent and show
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. And I love that because I often talk about consistency in three forms, right? And you just hit all three of them, right? Be consistent with your message, be consistent with your quantity, the volume at which you actually show up, right?
Hmm.
And know that about your industry. If you know your audience, then you know whether you can show up once a week, twice a week, every day, or whatever the case may be. And then be consistent with the quality of the content that you put out. That is hugely important. So you got into self-publishing as well and publishing your own works. But talk about from an entrepreneurial standpoint, if you're running a business of any kind, you're an expert at something. And how could
Yes,
publishing elevate that expertise and that authority in your industry?
sure. So whenever you're an expert, that means people come to you for a certain topic. So for
Mhm.
example, I'm an expert in self-publishing. People come
Mhm.
to me for that. So I need to give a different example. So if you're an expert in doing braids and hair,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
or do let's do it better, dreads.
Mhm.
You can do a whole little book. It doesn't have to be long. That's a big thing. Books don't
Mhm.
have to be long.
Yeah.
Books can be 20 pages, they can be 2,000 pages. The
Mhm.
point is it valuable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So as an expert, you just want to present something to your audience that is valuable. So for the
Mhm.
person that does hair, then maybe it's how to take care of your dreads,
Mhm. Mhm.
something simple like that, or how to keep them fresh in between retwists,
Yeah. Yeah.
something that's is actually valuable and something that you would be the best person to talk about because you're the expert.
Right. Right.
So as an entrepreneur, again, like you mentioned, everybody we have something that we focus on, something that we
Mhm.
can talk about all day long, and it puts you at a pedestal because it boosts your resume.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
gives you another stream of income into your business.
Mhm.
It helps to make you more of an authority because not everybody has a book.
Right.
So you could
I wrote
say,
the book
hey,
on that. Like, you want to know about
exactly.
this? Oh, I wrote the book on
I
that.
wrote a whole book on it. So, and there's just so many other spin-offs that can come from writing the book as an entrepreneur, because that's going to open you up for speaking engagements.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then with that, it's like, okay, not only can I sit, and then you have leverage then, because not only can I come talk to your audience about this great thing, I have a book as a giveaway to go with it.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just so many different ways that as an entrepreneur, having that book can just push you all out. Even for getting new work, if you're in a
Hmm.
service-based industry,
Hmm.
being able to point your clients to say, hey, I have this book out on the subject. So
Hmm.
I'm really this the ish,
Right.
for lack
Right.
of a better
From
term.
the bee's
So
knees when it comes
right.
to plumbing, right? I wrote a book on how
Mm-hmm.
to fix your own plumbing. And if you can't do it yourself, then call me and I'll come through and I'll service it for you. You also
Exactly.
mentioned in that whole spiel, and I don't know if the audience caught it, but I want to bring this out before we get into freestyle, that the right book matters, right? So many people who want to self-publish, the first thing they want to self-publish is a memoir or an
Mm-hmm.
autobiography. And I'm like, nobody knows you. That
Nobody
nobody,
knows
so
you.
nobody cares. right? So it sounds like you take the approach of stay in your authority of your expertise with what's going to help the reader and not just your life story. Is that fair?
Absolutely. For anyone who's thinking about writing a book and they are some type of entrepreneur, they have their own personal brand. I highly recommend to talk about something within your brand, not necessarily about yourself. Within your book, maybe you can give your backstory. That can be like the first chapter, the introduction. But ultimately, you want to give people something that they care about and
Hmm.
that they're willing to pay money for,
Yeah. Yeah.
because everyone does not care about your backstory.
Mhm.
That's just the
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
But they care about how you were able to generate $10,000 a month because
Hmm.
you did this one particular thing in
Yeah.
your business. They want to know that, so they're going to pay for that.
Yeah. What's in it for them? That's what you're writing
Exactly.
about because that's what
Mm-hmm.
they're paying for. They're paying for a result, they're paying for a transformation. And if they can get that from reading your book, they're going to pay for it, right? And then there's other things or strategies you can actually sell in your book and all sorts of things. Like it's a whole nother world when you understand
Yep.
self-publishing. And when I wrote my first book, I just remember people like, "How you gonna do that?" I'm like, if anybody has ever done it before, then it's figure outable. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's been done. So there's a YouTube
Mm-hmm.
video out there's a coach out there. Don't worry about it. It ain't you doing it. Don't worry about it. I'm going to get it done. And I wrote my first book, and it was full of errors. It was so jacked up that somebody actually sent it back and said, "Get my money back." But it was it was done though. Like I
Yeah.
just wanted to
Yeah.
do it, and it served its purpose. It built my authority in my niche at that time because as a financial educator, I don't have any certifications. So I said, what's the best way for me to become an authority in this space? So I wrote a book. And then I had a CPA do the foreword in the book, which lent even more credibility to what I was teaching in the book. So you don't have to be certified, licensed, all of that stuff, man.
Nope.
Yeah, I'll let Bianca tell you about it. So make sure y'all go to busybwriting.com and get your consultation going. But Bianca, we got to get into freestyle because you're a writer, so I know you got bars, sis.
Mm.
Freestyle is where, as I'm building this multi-billion-dollar international media conglomerate that will one day surpass Ted Turner and Walt Disney, I don't always ask the right questions, and the conversation doesn't always evolve to the right place. So freestyle is your opportunity to either reiterate something that we covered that you feel is important, or if we have yet to get to something that you feel is important, then take 2 minutes and speak from your heart what you feel they need to know and walk away from this conversation with today. So this is freestyle right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, the the Bianca Scott version. Hit them with your best bars, sis.
Okay. So if you don't take away anything else from this conversation, is that content is king. Content is what's going to make you money. That content can be in the form of social media. It can be in the form of emails, text messages, or what I prefer, a book.
Hmm.
Books are tangible. Books have the potential to give you multiple streams of income. Books have the potential to they number one, they're always on sale. So
Hmm.
once you do it, you're always able to market it. So that means you're always able to make money from it.
Hmm.
And it can always serve a higher purpose for you, whether it's to build up your resume, make you an authority in your field, whether it's to, again, another stream of income. If you do it right, depending on what type of book that you're doing, you can even start another business because of that book.
Hmm.
There's just
Hmm.
so many different reasons why you need to be more serious about what you put out there to your audience and why having a book can really do that for you.
Yeah.
It can. And books don't have to be long. Don't think a book has to be long. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as
Hmm.
it's valuable,
Yeah.
as long as it's valuable and it's impactful and your reader will get something out of it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Drop the mic, sis. That is freestyle right here on the Cortez Hustle Show with Bianca Scott. Love it. I know you've got some special things that you want to share with the audience today. So tell everybody about that and also how they can connect with you before we go. We got 5 minutes.
Okay, so sure. So I have something called the Author Starter Kit. Very easy to use. You can have your book done within 1 to 3 months, depending on how ambitious that you are. It breaks you through all of the different elements that it would take to write and self-publish your own book. And again, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort for you. It's really all in your mind. You're your biggest enemy when it comes to this. And it just gives you that ability to just give you a leg up on your competition.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out. Go to my website, www.busybewriting.com, to go ahead and sign up for that so that you can get immediate access to that course. And if you want to reach out to me, just go to @BusyB Writing on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. And that's how you can get in contact with me.
@BusyB Writing. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been listening to and learning from Bianca Scott. Super excited to get to know you on this podcast. And I gotta thank my girl. Now I can't think of her name, who referred us and connected us. But she was on the show, Black Girl TV, Danielle Walker. That's right. Black Girl TV Network. This has been amazing, and it's good for my audience to hear it from someone else that you gotta be putting out content, putting yourself in front of people that will want to connect with you, and turn those people who are connecting with you into prospects, into leads, ultimately into customers, and then into clients, so that you build that long-term relationship of serving people with your best stuff. Man, it's amazing. So thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank you for sharing so freely. Go to busybewriting.com, or you can follow her across all social platforms @BusyB Writing. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow morning, we're doing lead generation, tribal lead generation automation, where if you're looking to use Facebook in a better capacity for lead generation, sign up for that. And I'll see you guys in the morning. So with that, we're out of here, man. Until we talk to you next time, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. And more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. Now hustle up. But you've got to overcome fear if you're going to win.
You're tuned into the Cortez Hustle Show. Please like and subscribe.